It's John Lowenking, and welcome back to my next episode of From Profits to Properties, where we help you to grow your profits within your business and then grow your properties by adding real estate, whether it's a primary residence, a luxury home, or building a portfolio of investment properties. Today's episode, we're going to talk about leverage. As always, we have two segments. The first segment is business growth and how to grow your business. And the second segment is going to be about mortgage industry. Both ways, in both segments, I'm going to talk about the concept of using leverage. So let's focus first on business leverage. So business leverage is something that I was learned a long time ago. I was taught a long time ago. And it basically comes from how do we grow our business in long term? How do we build exponential growth within our business? And it has to do with basically three layers, which is the results you produce yourself. That is self-generated. Hey, I spent an hour working on something and I produced a result of that thing, and that gave me $1 in the end. Then the second level is the results you produce through others, the income that you earn through the work that others do. That's when you're growing, when you're hiring a staff and you're making money, not just off of the time you're spending yourself, but you're using leverage by getting other people to do work that you're paying them a lower amount of money than what you're earning for the work that they're doing. Therefore, you're making money off of the work of others. And then the third layer of income has to do with your money making money for you. So that's investing in the markets. That's investing, taking your funds that you've earned and becoming a silent partner in a business where your money is doing the work, not you, not other people doing the work that you're managing. So those are kind of the three layers. But what I want to talk about specifically when it comes to leverage is what are the ways in which you can use level 2 more to your advantage? And there's really the historical norm has been, well, I'm just going to hire another body. I'm going to bring somebody on board who's going to do more work on my behalf, that is going to show up. And instead of me working 40 hours a week, I've got myself working 40 and 2 employees that are working 40. And so I've got 3 times the amount of work hours going in, and I am earning more output, more income at the end. But more and more, there's 2 other things I want you to start thinking about. It's really my focus today on how I want to change your thinking. Now, the first area, I don't have a lot of experience in. My coach has been talking a lot about it, so I'm digging into it, but it's the area of virtual assistants. Virtual assistants have been around for quite some time. It is typically people who are working overseas that are dedicated to getting a job done, that maybe it's something that they're specialized in doing that they can do at a significantly lower cost than somebody locally. Now, there are jobs that I am a firm believer in America and American jobs and all of that, but there's also jobs that are better suited for someone who can do that task at a lower cost, because the alternative is you're not going to hire somebody at all. Like, I'm not talking about stealing away American jobs. I'm talking about work that you wouldn't have hired out to be done, and because you don't have the money to pay for that work to be done. And so when you think about leverage and you're saying, how much time am I spending doing these tasks myself, and which tasks can I delegate? I have a lot of business owners that I talk to that say, John, I just can't afford to delegate. I can't afford to hire somebody because I've got workers' comp I've got to pay for. I've got all the payroll taxes I have to pay for. And so using a virtual assistant I'm not advocating replacing a job of someone locally. I'm talking about being able to grow your business and utilize leverage in a situation when you weren't going to do it already, in a situation where you couldn't pull the trigger for that extra cost for that person. So virtual assistance is something that you can consider, but there's another layer. There's another option that is becoming more and more visible to me as a very, very viable option. And it's automation, specifically through AI, artificial intelligence. Now, I was talking to my coach and he was saying, hey, you can hire a virtual assistant and pay $2,000 a month for that person instead of significantly more which you wouldn't. I couldn't dedicate more than that to pay for this task. He goes, you can hire a virtual assistant for $2,000 a month to do it, and that makes it worth it for you to do this task. And I started thinking to myself, wait a second. Right now, I'm recording this in May of 2025. ChatGPT, OpenAI, has a pro plan, $200 a month, which sounds stupid expensive. Why am I going to pay $200 a month for something that I can currently get most of it for free or maybe $20 a month? But then I started thinking about, wait, what are the things that it can do? Well, the two big things that it can do is a lot of deep research, which deep research has become one of my new best friends. And then the second thing it can do is something called Operator, which basically has its own web browser and can do anything on the internet on your behalf with you just kind of gently watching and making sure when it needs help that you can jump in and help it out. And I thought, gosh, this task that we were talking about with my coach, we were saying I could pay $2,000 a month for somebody to do that. And that's great. And I've got somebody that's working 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month on my behalf. And I'm paying them $2,000 to do this task. But ChatGPT, between deep research and Operator, could do 90% of that task for me and other tasks. Because ChatGPT operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I can start a deep research task. And I had one that ran for an hour and a half yesterday, an hour and a half of compute power focused fully on answering my question. It was amazing what it did. And in that perspective, it's cheap. $200 a month for as much work as I can get out of it. Now, this is all new, growing, changing. But if you're not thinking about it, if you're not paying attention to it, you need to start now. I'm doing a monthly webinar focused on business people and real estate agents. Most of them showing up as realtors, but it's focused on business people in general and how to use AI in your business. And so you can go to rsvpwithjohn.com/AI. So rsvpwithjohn.com/AI and join that training if you want to. Check out the sessions I've done before. Really dive into, hey, I really need to think about how I can use AI as a leverage point, not just as a partner to chat with and ask questions and have it do, minor tasks here and there, which is what most of us have thought about. But how can I truly employ it in my business as a point of leverage and growth, doing tasks that I otherwise couldn't have afforded to pay somebody else to do? But now I can grow my business by using leverage through AI. So if you have questions about that, reach out to me directly. But most importantly, check out my monthly webinars, sign up for future ones, and check out prior episodes by going to rsvpwithjohn.com/AI. Hang tight through this quick commercial, and then I'll come back with the second half of our podcast. Talk to you in a minute. Everything we hear about today is AI this, AI that. What does it mean to you, and how do you use it to grow your business? I want to help be your source to guide you down that road. So every single month, first Thursday of the month, I'm going to be doing a webinar talking about AI tools and how to use it in your professional life. This is for realtors. This is for business people. This is for anybody who wants to use it professionally and get a feel for what are the ways that I can use it in my business. So if you want to join me, scan this QR code up here. You'll find out about the next webinar that's coming up, and you'll get registered to receive information on future webinars down the road. I'm looking forward to help share with you what I'm learning and help you along the journey so that you can learn how to use AI to help grow your business. Hey gang, welcome back. So here we're ready for our second half of my podcast, and we're going to talk again about leverage. Right now, I'm going to talk about leverage relative to property ownership. Now, when people look at building a real estate portfolio, they typically look at, hey, I want to buy a rental property. And most of the time you want to buy a single family residence. That's what's most common, is an individual single family residence. But you've got to think about leverage, and you've got to think about, maybe I should look at buying multiple doors. Maybe I should look at buying multiple homes through one transaction. And historically, it's ended at 4 units. Anything above a 4-unit property historically has no longer been the realm of residential real estate. It's more about it being commercial. It's still a loan, it's still money, but it's where you're getting it from. It's kind of like you don't go to your credit card company to borrow, to charge on a credit card a mortgage on a home for the next 30 years. Like, it's money. You get money from your credit card, you get money on a mortgage, but it's a different type of a loan. Well, when it comes to financing any property investment or primary home, residential has stopped at 4 units. And it is still that way for primary homes via the normal channels, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, and VA. But the world has changed significantly with the advent of new non-QM loan programs. And what it's allowed is for us to go all the way up to 10-unit properties to give you more leverage by buying properties that have more doors under one roof. So there's still the territory of things bigger than 10 units that you want to understand. That is still the territory of commercial lending. Now, commercial lending typically is going to require large down payments, although these 5 to 10 unit properties require at least 25% down payment. So you do need a decent sized down payment on these larger units, and you need to have more money in reserves, and the interest rates are going to be higher. So you're looking at rates that are probably 2% higher than rates on a 1 to 4 unit property. Then why would you want to do it? Because you're getting scale. You're getting typically significantly better rents per dollar of purchase price, and that gives you leverage. So it's been the entire topic of what I've been talking about today is leverage. How do we leverage one into many? Because in this case, leverage also gives you less risk. When it comes to turnover in a property, if you have all your eggs in one basket, you have one unit and that tenant moves out and they damage the property, and you have 2, 3, 4 months of vacancy, of zero occupancy, because you got to fix up the property and now you got to get it rented again, and you're still making the mortgage payment. So 100% of your rent is lost. But if you have leverage, if you have diversification, you have an 8-unit property, and one of the units that happens to, you still have 7/8 of the rental income. You lose a small portion of the rent, not 100% of the rent. Now, this also can be applied by buying multiple rental properties, by buying, not just one single family home, but multiple single family homes. And a lot of people use that same leverage concept where I'm going to buy, instead of like a 1031 exchange, instead of exchanging into a commercial building or a large property, I'm going to buy 5 small properties. Now, those are all individual loans, but you now have at least 5 sources of revenue making those 5 payments. And if you have one property that's vacant for 3 or 4 months, you still have 4 out of 5 that you're renting. So thinking about leverage has to do with, what am I focused on? Because a lot of people, and I'm in California, so if you think about coastal markets, you have a lot more expensive homes. And they say, man, I'm selling this rental property, I'm going to buy another one of similar price in a different neighborhood. Well, maybe you look at buying out of state. Maybe you look at leverage and saying, well, wait a second, I can take one home in California that's worth $700,000 and turn that into 4 homes that are worth that you purchased for less than $200,000 in a different state. So there's opportunities to look for leverage in different ways. What I want you to focus on is expanding your horizon, expanding your thought processes to say, hey, maybe I'm getting decent rents on this property that I own in New York City, New York, wherever, but it's not enough relative to what my payment is, for what the value is of the property. And you could convert that buying multiple smaller priced homes, adding up to the exact same value, but they're going to generate a lot more rental income. Or you buy a multi-unit property, up to a 10-unit property. Again, maybe it's a similar price as what that single family home is in an expensive market. But the trade-off is that you've got 2 things. You've got typically better overall rental income, because a home at $150,000 purchase price is not half of the rent of a home at $300,000 purchase price. The numbers don't work that way. And so buying 2 homes at $150,000 typically makes you more rent than one home at $300,000. That's the concept I'm trying to get across. So I really appreciate you listening today. Hopefully it makes sense. I want you to grow, and grow in your business, grow in your real estate portfolio, and wealth has to do with leverage. And there's many, many ways to use leverage, but it's important to focus on not just what can I do with my personal time or with this $1, but how can I leverage that to have it grow exponentially on my behalf. Thanks for listening. Please make sure to subscribe, put a comment if you like what I'm doing. I would love to get a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening. And I look forward to seeing you next week on From Profits to Property.